Hello students. Last card discussion was on serial port. I hope the discussion was clear. So here we have discussed two types of ports in detail. One is parallel port and one is serial port. And both the concepts are very important. Definitely in your exam, you are going to get one of the concept to write in detail. So we have to explain these concepts along with the necessary diagrams, right? So in today's class, I am going to discuss a standard I/O interfaces. As in the previous section, we point out that there are several alternative designs for the bus of a computer. So this variety means that the I/O device is fitted with an interface circuit which is suitable for one computer that may not be useful with the other computer. So a different interface may have to be designed for every combination of I/O device and computer, which is resulting in many different interfaces. The most practical solution is to develop standard interface signals and protocols. So it is very helpful at this point to understand how a computer system is put together. So a typical personal computer, for example, it includes a printed circuit board which is known as motherboard. So we already know what is a motherboard and all, right? So this motherboard, it includes, or this motherboard contain the processor chip, the memory, and some I/O interfaces. And it also has a few connectors into which the additional interfaces can be plugged in, right? Here, the processor bus is the bus defined by signals on the processor chip itself. The devices that require a very high speed connection to the processor, such as main memory, so they may be connected directly to this bus. For the electrical reasons, only a few devices can be connected in this particular manner, right? Here, the motherboard usually provides another bus that can support more devices. The two buses that are interconnected by a circuit, so that circuit is known as bridge. Suppose if there are two buses, those buses are interconnected by a circuit. So that circuit is known as bridge. So that bridge, it translates the signals and protocols of one bus into the other bus. The devices that are connected to the expansion bus that appear to the processor as if they were connected directly to the processor own bus. The only difference is that the bridge circuit that introduce a small delay in data transfer between the processor and the other devices. So it is not possible to define a uniform standard for the processor bus, and the structure of this bus is closely tied to the architecture of the processor, and it is also dependent on the electrical characteristics of the processor chip, such as its clock speed. The expansion bus is not subject to those limitations, and therefore it can use a standard signaling scheme. Here, a number of standards have been developed, and some have evolved by default when a particular design became commercially successful. For example, if you take IBM, right? So IBM developed a bus that is called as ISA, that is Industry Standard Architecture. So this is for their personal computer, which is known at that time as a PC-80. The popularity of that computer to lead to the other manufacturers producing ISA compatible interfaces for their IO devices, hence making ISA into a de facto standard, means that is some standard, right? And some standards have been developed through industrial cooperative efforts, even among competing companies that are driven by their common self interest in having the compatible products. And in some cases, the organizations such as IEEE, so IEEE we know that is Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, so which is a standard organization here. So, in some of the cases, the organizations such as IEEE, then ANSI, ANSI also we know that is American National Standard Institute, and one more standard organization is ISO, that is International Standards Organization. So, such a standard organization have blessed these standards and given them an official status. So, in this section, we present three widely used bus standards. One is PCI. PCI stands for Peripheral Component Interconnect. And second one is SCSI, that is a Small Computer System Interface. And one more is USB. USB we commonly know that is the Universal Serial Bus. So here we are going to present these three widely used bus standards, that is PCI, SCSI and USB. Here the way how these standards are used in a typical computer system is illustrated in this particular figure. So you keenly observe the different components in this particular figure. So this figure will illustrate how exactly these bus standards that are used in a typical computer system. Here the PCI standard, it defines an expansion bus on the motherboard. Then SCSI and USB are used for connecting additional devices both inside and outside the computer box. Then the SCSI bus is a high speed parallel bus intended for the devices such as disk and the video displays. And the USB bus, it uses a serial transmission to suit the needs of equipment ranging from keyboards to game controls to the internet connections, right? So this figure shows an interface circuit that enables a devices compatible with their ISA standard, such as a popular IDE. Here you can see IDE, right? So IDE stands for Integrated Device Electronics. So this IDI disk is also connected here. So here you can see the IDI disk. So IDI disk is also connected here, right? Actually, an interface circuit that enables the devices compatible with this ISA standard, that is IDI disk. So IDI disk is also connected here. So it also shows a connection to an Ethernet. Here the Ethernet is widely used local area network, providing a high speed connection among the computers in building or a universal campus. So is it clear what is Ethernet? Ethernet is a widely used LAN, that is widely used local area network. It will provide a high speed connection among computers in a building or in a university campus. So a given computer may use more than one bus standard. A typical Pentium computer has both a PCI bus and an ISI bus, thus it providing the use with a wide range of devices to choose from, right? I hope this figure is clear. So this figure will just show how the different bus standards are connected. So this we know processor. So this is main memory, and this is intermediate circuit. So this circuit will help in connecting the processor and main memory to different bus standards. So there is are what the different bus standards as you can see, and these are what some peripheral devices, right? That is a disk one, CD-ROM, keyboard, game, and all. So is it clear? I hope this diagram is clear. So this is what the illustration of a motherboard. So here you can see how these bus standards are located. There's a PCI Express. These are different PCI standards. Then a real IO panel shade is there. Then the CPU power connector is there. Then CPU socket is there. Different memory slots you can see. Then this is a FDD connector. And this is a power connector. The SATA connection, right? So IDE connector is there. Then these are what the PCI slots. So if you open your CPU socket, and if you can visualize this motherboard, so you can see different standards like this. And this is what the different connectors you can see. That is, it is a USB port, and this is what your parallel port, and this is a serial port, right? So these are again USB ports. These are different network ports where you can connect your LAN cable and all. And these are different audio connections like line in, out, or mic connections. So these are again different standards, right? So usually these exist in a CPU socket. You can just open this your PC's CPU socket so that you can able to see all these different connections. The next important concept is PCI. So I'll discuss these bus standards one by one. So today I will discuss this PCI bus. I'll just introduce this PCI bus and in detail I'll discuss in the next class, right? So PCI, as we know, it is a peripheral component interconnect, right? So the PCI is a good example of a system bus that revert of the need for standardization. It supports the functions that found on the processor bus, but in a standardized format that is independent of any particular processor. The devices that are connected to the PCI bus, they appear to the processor as if they were connected directly to the processor bus. So they are assigned addresses in the memory address space of the processor. The PCI, it follows a sequence of bus standards that were used primarily in IBM PCs. So early personal computers, means earlier PCs, they used 8-bit XT bus whose signal closely mimicked those of Intel 8086 processor. Later, 16-bit bus is used on the PC 80 computers, became known as ISA bus. So its extended 32-bit version is known as EISA bus. The other buses developed in the 80s with the similar compatibilities are the microchannel used in IBM PCs and a new bus used in Macintosh computers. The PCI was developed as a low cost bus that is truly processor independent, and its design is anticipated a rapidly growing demand for bus bandwidth to support high speed disk and graphic and the video devices as well as the specialized needs of multiprocessor systems. As a result, the PCI is still popular as an industry standard almost a decade after it was introduced in 1992. An important feature that the PCI having is a plug and play capability for connecting IO devices. So this is an important feature that PCI bus is having. That is plug and play capability for connecting the IO devices. That is plug and play connection, right? So to connect a new device, the user simply connect the device interface board to the bus. Here the software takes care of the rest of the things, right? So if you look into the data transfer in today's computers, the most memory transfer involve a burst of data rather than just one word, right? So that we know in today's computer, most of the memory transfer involve a collection of data rather than a single word of data, right? The reason is that the modern processor include a cache memory, right? And the data are transferred between the cache and the main memory in the collection of several words at a time. The words that are involved in such transfer that are stored at the successive memory locations, right? And when the processor specifies an address and it requests a read operation from the memory, that is from the main memory, then the memory responds by sending a sequence of data words starting at that particular address. Similarly, during a write operation, the processor sends a memory address followed by a sequence of data words to be written in the successive memory locations starting at that address. Here, the PCI is designed primarily to support this mode of operation, and a read or write operation involving a single word that is simply treated as a burst of length 1. Here, the bus support three independent address spaces, that is memory, IO, and configuration. The first two are self-explanatory. The IO address space is intended for use with the processors such as Pentium that have a separate IO address space. However, as we noted earlier, the system designer may choose to use memory mapped IO even when a separate IO address space is available. In fact, this is the approach recommended by PCI standard for wider compatibility. The configuration space is intended to give the PCI its plug and play capability. So that will explain later, right? Here, a 4-bit command that uh, accompanies the address identifies which of the three spaces is being used in a computer data transfer operation, right? So this is how the PCI performs the data transfers. Then the use of a PCI bus in a computer system. So that I will explain in the next class. So these are what the PCI bus, as you can see. So this is just a illustration of PCI bus. So in the next class, I am going to discuss the use of a PCI bus in a computer system. Thank you.